In this episode, we begin with a topic that helps an organization answer a very practical question every day. Is its technology actually doing what the business needs it to do? Information technology, IT, performance monitoring and reporting is the ongoing process of watching how systems, services, and support functions are performing, then communicating that performance in a way leaders and teams can understand and act on. For a beginner, the easiest way to think about it is to imagine a business depending on websites, email, applications, databases, networks, and support teams, all of which need to work reliably enough for employees and customers to get things done. If nobody is watching performance, problems often stay hidden until users complain, sales are affected, or a serious outage occurs. If nobody is reporting performance clearly, leaders may assume everything is fine even when delays, weaknesses, and warning signs have been building for weeks. Monitoring shows what is happening, and reporting makes that information useful to people who have to make decisions. Before we continue, a quick note. This audio course is a companion to our course companion books. The first book is about the exam and provides detailed information on how to pass it best. The second book is a Kindle-only ebook that contains 1,000 flashcards that can be used on your mobile device or Kindle. Check them both out at cyberauthor.me in the Bare Metal Study Guide series. A helpful starting point is to separate performance from simple technical activity, because beginners sometimes assume that if systems are busy, they must be performing well. Performance is not just about whether a server is running or whether a network device is turned on. It is about whether IT services are meeting business needs in areas such as availability, speed, reliability, accuracy, support quality, recovery ability, and consistency over time. A system can be active all day and still perform poorly if users experience delays, repeated errors, failed transactions, or frequent interruptions. In the same way, a support team can appear occupied every minute while still missing important issues if tickets remain unresolved for too long or if the same problem keeps returning. Monitoring performance means paying attention to outcomes that matter, not just raw activity. Reporting performance means explaining those outcomes in a way that shows whether the organization is stable, improving, declining, or facing risk that requires attention. The reason this matters is simple but important. Organizations rely on technology to carry out core business functions, so poor performance quickly becomes a business problem rather than a small technical inconvenience. If an application slows down during peak sales hours, customers may leave before completing purchases. If payroll systems fail at the wrong time, employee trust is affected. If managers do not know that critical systems are suffering repeated short outages, they may continue making decisions based on the false belief that service delivery is healthy. Performance monitoring gives the organization an early warning capability because it can reveal strain, instability, or decline before a full failure occurs. Reporting then turns those signals into something decision-makers can respond to, whether that response means funding improvements, changing priorities, adding staff, revising capacity plans, or investigating root causes. Without monitoring and reporting, many organizations drift into reactive behavior where they only notice problems after damage has already become visible to users and executives. Not every aspect of IT performance is measured in the same way, so it helps to understand the common areas organizations watch most closely. One important area is availability, which asks whether systems and services are actually accessible when people need them. Another is responsiveness, which focuses on speed, such as how quickly an application loads or how fast a support team answers and resolves an issue. Capacity is also important because a service may work well under normal demand but weaken sharply when usage spikes. Quality matters too, especially in areas where accuracy, completeness, or consistency affect business results. A reporting process that finishes on time but produces errors is not really performing well. Monitoring may also include security-related performance, backup success, change success rates, incident volumes, recovery times, and user satisfaction. The core lesson is that performance is broader than uptime, and good monitoring looks at several dimensions together rather than pretending one number can describe everything important. Metrics help turn these ideas into something observable, but new learners should understand that a metric is only useful if it connects to a meaningful question. A key performance indicator, KPI, is a measure used to show how well an organization, team, or service is meeting a specific objective. If the objective is reliable customer access, a useful KPI might relate to availability or transaction success rather than to how many internal emails were exchanged by the support team. If the objective is prompt incident handling, metrics about response time, resolution time, or backlog trends may be more useful than raw ticket counts by themselves. The danger is that organizations can become obsessed with measuring what is easy rather than what is important. A long list of technical numbers does not automatically produce insight. Good performance monitoring begins by asking what success looks like, what failure would look like, and which measurements would help reveal whether the service is moving toward one condition or the other. Service targets often make these expectations more concrete, and that is where service level agreement, SLA, measures can become very important. An SLA is a formal expression of expected service performance, often defining targets for uptime, support response, issue resolution, or other service commitments. Even when there is no formal external contract, organizations may still use internal service targets to define what acceptable performance looks like for the business. These targets help everyone understand whether the service is meeting expectations or slipping below them. They also support accountability, because it is easier to improve performance when the standard is visible rather than vague. Still, beginners should remember that targets must be realistic and meaningful. An easy target that gets met every month may not help the business at all, while an impossible target may create frustration and unhealthy reporting behavior. Good monitoring and reporting use service targets to guide improvement, not just to create attractive numbers for management slides. Monitoring itself can happen in different ways, and each method reveals a different part of the performance picture. Automated monitoring tools may watch system availability, processor use, storage consumption, error rates, network activity, and response times continuously. Manual observation also matters, especially when teams review logs, support patterns, control failures, and recurring user complaints that automated dashboards may not fully explain. Some organizations monitor from the inside by watching technical components, while others also monitor from the outside by testing what users actually experience. That distinction matters because a system can appear healthy from an infrastructure perspective while still frustrating customers due to design issues or broken dependencies. Good performance monitoring combines technical signals with operational context. It asks not only whether the system is on, but whether the service is useful, stable, and dependable from the perspective of the people relying on it. That broader view prevents the organization from being comforted by healthy-looking components while business performance quietly deteriorates. One of the most valuable uses of monitoring is trend analysis, because a single measurement at one moment often tells only a small part of the story. A server running near capacity for 5 minutes during a busy hour might not be alarming by itself, but the same pattern appearing every afternoon for 3 months suggests growing strain that deserves attention. A small increase in unresolved support tickets may not seem serious in one weekly report, yet a steady upward trend could show that demand is rising faster than staffing or process efficiency. Trends help organizations see direction, not just status. They make it possible to notice improvement, decline, repeating cycles, and seasonal pressure before those patterns become major disruptions. Reporting should therefore do more than present isolated numbers. It should show movement over time and help leaders understand whether performance is stable, improving, or slipping in ways that may affect service quality, risk, or future investment needs. Trend-based thinking is what turns monitoring from simple observation into practical management insight. Thresholds and alerts add another layer to this process by helping teams respond before a problem becomes severe. A threshold is a defined point at which the organization decides that a metric deserves attention, such as unusually slow response time, high storage use, repeated failed jobs, or an abnormal increase in incident volume. Alerts notify the right people when those thresholds are crossed so action can begin quickly. This is useful because staff members cannot stare at every system all day waiting for something to go wrong. At the same time, thresholds have to be chosen carefully. If they are too sensitive, teams receive too many alerts and begin ignoring them. If they are too loose, important warning signs are missed. Good performance monitoring is therefore not just about collecting data, but also about deciding what level of change matters and who needs to know. Effective reporting later shows whether alerts are identifying meaningful issues or whether the monitoring approach itself needs adjustment. Reporting is different from monitoring, even though the two are closely connected, because reporting focuses on communication rather than observation alone. Monitoring gathers data from systems, services, and operations. Reporting organizes that data into a message that helps a specific audience understand what is happening, why it matters, and whether action is needed. A highly technical report that helps engineers diagnose performance problems may be useless to senior leadership if it does not explain business impact clearly. In the same way, an executive summary may help leaders see broad service health while offering too little detail for operational teams trying to correct a recurring fault. Good reporting, therefore, depends on audience awareness. It asks who needs the information, what decisions they must make, how often they need updates, and what level of detail will help rather than confuse them. Strong reporting is not about showing every available number. It is about turning performance information into clear, relevant understanding for the people who are responsible for governance, operations, or oversight. A common weakness in reporting is the creation of attractive but shallow summaries that look polished while hiding real problems. Beginners sometimes assume that a dashboard full of green indicators means performance management is working well. In reality, dashboards can be misleading if the measures are poorly chosen, if negative trends are excluded, or if minor successes are emphasized while larger service weaknesses are left unexplained. Reporting should not be designed to make management comfortable. It should be designed to make management informed. That means including context, such as whether a target was missed for the first time or for the sixth month in a row, whether a service failure affected a critical process, or whether improvement in one area was achieved by delaying necessary work in another. Honest reporting creates trust because decision-makers can see the real condition of IT services. Weak reporting creates false confidence, and false confidence is especially dangerous in environments where risk, growth, or customer dependence is increasing. Another important beginner lesson is that performance reporting should support action, not just observation. A useful report does more than say that response times were slower this month or that incidents increased by a certain percentage. It should help leaders and teams understand possible causes, affected services, business impact, and whether corrective action is already underway. This does not mean every report must contain a full technical investigation, but it should be clear enough to guide priorities and accountability. If storage demand is growing rapidly, the report should help management see whether capacity planning needs attention. If repeated outages are linked to unsuccessful changes, the report should help direct attention toward change management and quality control. Performance reporting becomes much more valuable when it connects results to decision-making. Otherwise, it can become a routine exercise where the same problems are shown month after month without any real improvement. Monitoring tells the organization where pain exists, but reporting should help move the organization toward response and improvement. There are also several common misconceptions that are worth clearing away because they can weaken both monitoring and reporting. One misconception is that more data automatically means better oversight. In practice, too much unmanaged data can make it harder to identify what matters, especially if critical signals are buried under dozens of low-value metrics. Another misconception is that reporting poor performance is itself a sign of failure. In a healthy organization, reporting a problem clearly is often the first step towards solving it responsibly. A third misconception is that performance issues always come from technology. Sometimes the real cause is poor process design, weak staffing, unclear ownership, or unrealistic business demand. Monitoring and reporting should therefore be open enough to reveal cross-functional problems rather than forcing every issue into a narrow technical explanation. Strong performance management is honest, selective, and connected to business reality. It does not confuse visibility with success or silence with stability. From an audit perspective, IT performance monitoring and reporting matters because it shows whether the organization is watching critical services in a disciplined way and whether management receives useful information to support oversight. An auditor will not only ask whether reports exist. The more important question is whether the right things are being monitored, whether thresholds and targets are meaningful, whether reports are accurate and timely, and whether management acts on negative results. Evidence might include dashboards, service reports, incident summaries, trend analyses, exception reports, meeting records, and follow-up actions tied to repeated performance concerns. The auditor is looking for signs that performance information supports governance rather than sitting and used in a folder or appearing only after an outage. For a Certified Information Systems Auditor, CISA, learner, this topic is a reminder that effective control does not stop with setting policies or installing systems. Organizations also need continuous visibility into whether their technology environment is delivering the level of service, reliability, and responsiveness the business expects. The main idea should feel practical and clear. IT performance monitoring and reporting is the disciplined practice of observing how systems and services are functioning, identifying patterns and weaknesses early, and communicating that information in a way that supports good decisions. It matters because technology performance is never just a technical issue for long. Sooner or later, it affects customers, employees, operations, risk, and trust. As you continue studying, keep noticing the difference between raw activity and true performance, between collecting data and creating useful insight, and between attractive reporting and honest reporting. Those differences are where many organizations either gain control of their environment or slowly lose sight of what is really happening. A beginner who understands that monitoring provides visibility and reporting provides direction is already building the kind of thinking that will be valuable throughout CISA preparation and far beyond the exam.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.